behind the album Candle. Now, for those of you who know me, you understand why I entitled this album Candle. It's my breakup EP based off my toxic relationship that I got out of last year. And it just psychologically traumatized me. For those of you who know me, you understand why, ironically enough, the album is entitled Candle. But I'm gonna kind of try to flow through this entire album real quick, just outlining certain highlights as best I can and as quick as I can, because I don't like to make these too long, and I don't want to get too deep into the psychological trauma and get all emotional on camera. Let's keep it professional here. So the first track off of Candle is entitled Euphoria, and so the whole album is kind of like a timeline of when I met her to when I left her. So when I met her, she seemed like the best girl in the world. All four categories of attraction for me. Whenever I see a girl, there's four categories. There's physical upon sight, mental upon seeing how she behaves, spiritual upon conversational depth that she can have, and sexual upon And so this girl, when I met her, all four categories 10s, and it made me not see anybody else, and it was only her, and she was the perfect girl. So it was a euphoric feeling. So the first track of this album is entitled Euphoria, and I remember hearing a song that sounded similar to this on a TikTok somewhere. It was so emotionally moving, and it made me want to produce this. And so I produced Euphoria based off of this trending song on TikTok, and I couldn't find the title for it, so I produced it because I'm like, I need this in my life. And so this is my version of that TikTok trending song, and it just really hits me deep, and it's a euphoric feeling, like the feeling that I felt at the beginning of this relationship and meeting this girl. And this is one of the most beautiful songs that I've ever written sonically as well. It's just a gorgeous soundscape, no drums, just floating through heaven, through the clouds in Euphoria. And so Euphoria is the first track of the record. Next is Perfect, and I have a whole behind the song on Perfect in and of itself, so you can go check that out if you'd like to know more about it. But Perfect is my favorite song on the entire album. I believe it's my best piece of work I've ever created as an artist, and it is the most pop song I've ever written in my life. It's beautiful. It embodies so many different things that I love in the music that I listen to. So Perfect is my favorite song off of the entire album. So go check out behind the song Perfect if you would like to know more about that. Next up on the album is a song called The Mania, aka You're Such a Strange Girl. Now this song is a very deep, very special, intimate song. This girl, whenever she would have these little outbreaks and flip out in rage and delusions and act toxic towards me and do some toxic behaviors, and she would blame it on this thing that she called the mania. And so this track is called The Mania, and what it is pretty much is it's pretty much like a cover of 4 songs that she showed me that will live with me forever, and I will always think of her when I listen to these songs, because that's the greatest thing about relationships. No matter how toxic it is, you're gifted some dope music from whoever you're dating, whoever you're with. You're gifted very, very beautiful music, and so you get to carry that with you forever. Unfortunately, it's tied to thoughts of this very toxic, negative person that was in my life. However, these songs are gorgeous, and so these are 4 of my favorite songs that she showed me. So in The Mania, the first thing you hear is that piano part, and that's a piano part pretty much extracted from this song called After Dark by Mr. Kitty. And that's one of the songs that she showed me that really moved me. It's a very dark but beautiful song. Dark, ambient, beautiful, but driving. After Dark by Mr. Kitty, followed by a sexual version that I made. It's like an R&B version of this song called Strange Girl by Morex, or however you pronounce that. Strange Girl, another dark, beautiful song. These are songs that you would hear in this club that we have in Rochester, New York called Vertex. It's this like goth punk underground kind of club with lasers shooting all over and black nail polish, and these are two songs that you would hear at Vertex in Rochester. So I go back to back, and this version of Strange Girl by Marex that I made very sexual and R&B also implies how a lot of that relationship, she valued the sex more than she valued the actual intimacy and intellectual conversations and genuine connection. She valued the sex over that. So I could tell when I noticed that, that's when I knew that the relationship was inevitably going to crumble. Because, man, temptation. It's crazy. So if you value sex over the genuine connection with a human being, temptation is gonna get you eventually, and it eventually got her, of course. So the song that follows, Strange Girl, it busts out into this voicemail, and this is a poem that I wrote after I got the news of what she had been doing behind my back for the last month of our relationship. That broke my heart, that shattered me as a man, shattered me for almost a whole month, crying, tears. And so I wrote this poem, and what you hear is this voicemail, this excerpt from the poem that I wrote, and it's kind of like a voicemail I'm leaving on her phone, pretty much saying, I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know what was real in the relationship. I don't know if you broke my heart because you hated me or just because you can. I don't know, but you know, it's fucked up because I still love you. And at that moment, right after I got my heart broken by this girl, it's like, I still love you. All I knew was her for emotional support. So it's like, I want nothing more. When I received this terrible news of her double life she was living behind my back, I wanted nothing more than to hold her and cuddle her. It's true and it's messed up, but it's true. But she's all I knew for that emotional support, that feminine side of me. I wanted to embrace her and just cry and be like, oh man, my heart is fucking broken. But she's the one who did it, so I couldn't. And that broke my heart even more. So that voicemail is kind of like me wearing my heart on my sleeve and just letting her know that that's how I feel about the entire situation. I felt like I couldn't actually express it to her. So after that voicemail, it goes into this variation. I remixed the lyrics of one of her favorite songs called Coffee by Julian Skiboat.
I like coffee in the morning after we have sex. And my cigarette's still burning. Don't get stuck inside your head. When my exes try to text me, you're the one that's in my bed. It's you and me now. Just you and me now.
And I remixed some of the lyrics to fit into kind of what she did in the relationship. And then after that remix of Coffee, it goes into this song that she would play during the relationship called I Love My Boyfriend by Princess Chelsea. And this song is just the most beautiful song ever, and she's like,
but I love my boyfriend. He is good to me. He's a good man.
I love my boyfriend. He is good to me. He's a good man. And it's the most positive song I've ever heard about a relationship. Ironically enough, she showed me that song. And so it ends off very beautifully like that. Up next on this album is my second favorite song on the album. It's tied. Perfect and this song, they're very close, but Perfect is just a little higher for me. But Lost You Before is, again, one of the greatest songs I've ever written. I might eventually re-release it as a single. So if you couldn't notice, the biggest inspiration for this song, especially the beginning, is Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap.
Where are we? What the hell is going on?
Beautiful use of the vocoder, so I wanted to dabble into that field. And so I used that, a lot of harmony, a lot of chordal structures. And then we bust into this kind of halftime trap groove. And I just love the melodies that I wrote in that. And then it busts into this big chorus and beautiful piano outro. And again, the message of that song, Lost You Before. Lost You Before is pretty much, there's so many arguments we would have where it's like, I would love to communicate and reach a conclusion, and as I start to dig deeper and start to like learn new things, she would share a little bit, she would give an inch, and then she would pull back and get scared and be like, okay, I gotta go. And she would just walk away, and eventually I got used to that in that relationship. So she would walk away, she'd leave, and I'd grab a book and just start reading. I'd be like, cool, this is what it is. The first few times I was like, no baby, no, please stay, what are you doing, let's talk, stop, I'm sorry. Towards the end, it's like, I lost you before, and I didn't know why. I lost you before, I had no idea, like there'd always be a new reason. Without getting too deep about it, pretty much that's the long and short of it, is there was never genuine conclusions to any sort of problems we would have in the relationship. It would always be, I'm mad, this is it, and if you want to talk about it, I'll literally leave. And so I lost you before, and I didn't know why. So another little bit about Lost You Before is one of the lyrics is, since you feel crazy, I'ma chill on you before you go. She would always say, chill on me, hey, chill on me, chill on me. And so I had to implement one of her little phrases in there. It's like, whenever I would tease her, she would go, chill on me, and just playfully. So I had to implement one of her phrases in there just to make it that much deeper. There's so much subliminal messages there. But that is Lost You Before, one of my favorite songs that I've ever written in my life. Up next in the album is this piano tune that I wrote while she was sleeping in my bed that I call Going Our Separate Ways. And I call it that now, but at the time, of course, I didn't call it that. But I wrote this beautiful piano composition while she was sleeping in my bed, and I wrote the entire song. It's only a minute and a half, but I wrote the entire composition with strings and all while she was dozed off in my bed one morning, and she listened to me start it, fell asleep, and then woke up and it was done. So Going Our Separate Ways, I wrote that while she was in my bed, and it's one of the saddest piano songs I've ever written in my life, and it's beautiful and I love it. And so this implies the part of the relationship where I know that we're about to go our separate ways. I feel it coming. Up next on the record is a song called Goodbye My Dear. It's called I'm Sorry. So Goodbye My Dear, or I'm Sorry, is pretty much the inevitable, the relationship is over, I know it. This song, Goodbye My Dear, is heavily influenced by this artist that I discovered after the relationship, whose name is Ecstasy, and specifically this song called In Love.
I don't wanna say goodbye, but goodbye. And I never sleep at night.
And in the song In Love, it's just a piano and layers upon layers of this sad voice, and so I wanted to embody that, just to get in touch with my inner dark side, my inner sadness, and just do guitar, some pads and synths, no drums, and just layer on my vocals. And so Ecstasy was a huge inspiration for Goodbye My Dear, and it's kind of like me bidding her farewell. Goodbye My Dear. The middle B section with the chorus of my voices, just where I'm kind of like venting. I'm like, stop it, you're toxic, just drop all that hot shit. Whenever she would go out clubbing and wear skimpy clothes, she's like, it's hot girl shit, it's hot shit. Stop it, drop it, you're toxic, all that shit. And also in the B section of that song, I kind of drop a hint of what happened in that relationship of, you liar, you cheater, she left me, he beat her. That's one thing that I can say, is this girl ended up having a relationship behind my back for a month with another guy without telling me, looking me in my eyes talking about, I love you, you're the only guy for me. And turns out the guy who she was cheating on me with, the guy she was seeing behind my back, would beat shit out of her. He would abuse the hell out of her physically, not in a sexual way, in an actual angry way. So you liar, you cheater, she left me, he beat her. Just feed her to the dogs and forget her. At that point, it's like you made a terrible mistake, but just feed her to the dogs and forget her. So I can't help. I can't worry about you anymore. It's not good for my mental health. So at that point, Goodbye My Dear. It starts off, hello my dear, then I vent, and then Goodbye My Dear, church bell, end song. And so to top off the entire album, again, that song Euphoria that was inspired by that TikTok trending song. There's also a slowed down version of that, so I slowed down this version, and it's almost like a genuine euphoria, like I've released this demon from my life after this relationship that started so pretty and traveled into this very, very negative area, dark energy, sort of witchcrafty vibe, getting lied to, cheated on, manipulated, everything, the whole 9 yards. Finally, genuine euphoria. And so the slowed down version of Euphoria plays, and the relationship floats away into the abyss, into the past. And now here we are, much healthier, much better. And I thank her so much. Thank you for allowing me to create this beautiful piece of art that I will hold near and dear to my heart forever and always, and allowing me to create the greatest song I've ever written in my life, that song Perfect. So much beauty came out of this relationship, this ugly, terrible relationship that ended so bad. There's beauty that came from it, so thank you. You know who you are. Thank you for traumatizing me to the point where I built an album from the ground up, encompassing some of my best work. Thank you so much. And for anybody who is worried about me, I am doing much better. I am very well, and I feel amazing. And I'm so excited that the album is finished and you guys get to listen to it finally. Please go stream it if you haven't. There's so many dope songs on there that you will resonate with. And if you've ever experienced anything like what I've described, give it a listen. Maybe some of these songs can be songs that you hold on to, that you listen to, and that you can relate to. That's why I created this as well. So thank you guys for streaming. Anybody who's gotten their heart broken, I hope you resonate deeply with this album. And stay tuned for more music. I look forward to singing and doing more stuff in the future. I did everything on this record from the ground up. Producing, mixing, mastering, playing guitar, singing, recording, everything. So I really, now that I know I have the capabilities to do this, I look forward to creating more. So thank you guys so much who support me, and continue streaming, continue listening, and continue living your best lives. Thank you guys so much. Goodbye.